Hey everyone, welcome to the YouTube channel, or if you're in the Facebook group watching this. Today, I have the pleasure to do an interview with Kim Speed, who is a brand expert. And, here in our group, in my channel, I do work with you on healing blocks to success and all things about manifesting, and that's the inner work. But of course, as entrepreneurs, you also need the skills and strategies to attract more clients. So, Kim Speed is a brand visibility expert, a business mentor, a speaker, and she's the recipient of the most influential businesswoman in brand development. Wow. And an Amazon best-selling author of Branding on a Shoestring. During her years in the corporate world, Kim worked in advertising as a creative director for some of the biggest global brands like Coca-Cola, TD Bank, Ford, and Molson Coors. I hope I said that right. After leaving the world of advertising, Kim started her own business that she has now, the Purple Moon Creative, and it's all about branding and marketing your business. And she helps budding entrepreneurs or people who are already building their practice courageously step into their spotlight to create the brands so that they can stand out and attract more clients, which we all need and want. So today I'm really excited about this because I know sometimes branding can be confusing. What is that? I know for me, when I thought of branding, I actually thought of its colors. I didn't understand really what it is. And I'm thinking maybe many people in our audience is thinking that too. And I know it's so much more than that. And here's what you're going to learn today. You're going to learn really what a brand is and finally understand it. You're going to learn, how does branding help your small business? What does it do for you? And should you do branding right away if you're building your business, or wait till it's developed? So these are important questions, and Kim's going to answer all of these for us. And at the end, you're going to also get a special gift from her. So stay tuned for that. So welcome, Kim.
Thanks, Ruth. I'm so glad to be here with you today.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here. And I love, as I've gotten to know branding, I really love it. There's a lot to it, and I've started to see how it really illuminates your business. I thought before you get into it to maybe let our audience know a little bit about you, and then how did you pick branding? Like, why branding? There's so many different aspects to business development.
Yeah, I'd love to share that. So I've had my own business for almost 15 years now. Wow, can't believe it. But before that, I was actually in advertising. I worked in the corporate world at an advertising company. I was a creative director and worked on some of those brands that you talked about. I started off as an art director, then became a creative director. My background is really a visual design, and but throughout it, I learned so much about the strategy of messaging and writing, and being able to get out there and get seen through all those big companies. So to me, it was quite natural that everybody needed to think about brand development and branding. And when I started my own business, and I started to work with small business owners, I just assumed that everybody understood what the importance of brand was, what it was. And I quickly learned that there's a lot of people out there that don't realize what it is and don't realize how powerful it is and why they should be actually paying attention to it. But it's also, not something that I don't know everything that you know. And so it took me a while to sort of sort that out, that not everybody's in my head, and how I could actually come to help people. But I have to tell you, Ruth, I never thought that I was ever going to work with small business owners or be a business owner myself. In the last recession, I was working at a company, and it was great until one day there was a huge account that we lost. And so they had to do a big layoff. And I found myself, packing up and looking for another job, just assuming I was going to go and get another job. But during that time, while I was at home and doing all that networking and, putting your portfolio and resume together, as you would do, I had the opportunity to spend much more time with my family, my kids. And I realized how much of their lives I was actually missing because I had been rushing out in the morning and rushing home at night. And all of a sudden I said, that's a crazy way of life. And I don't want to go back to that. So I started to think differently about how I was going to, I don't know what you call it, manifesting or, figuring out how I was going to pay bills and not have to go back to a job. And so I eventually just took the plunge and said, you know what, I'm not going back to a corporate job. I'm going to open my own business and I'm going to figure it out. And I had to figure out along the way. But I knew it was going to be something to do with brand and marketing and how I could help people that way. So that's how I have my own business today, is because somebody gifted me with the opportunity to not have a job.
I know. It's like when one door closes, the other one opens, and it's usually even better. I know that's a
Yeah.
great story. Yeah. I know it can seem awful at the time, and then you go, oh, this is the meaning of it. I'm meant for
Yes.
something even more. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And at the time you're panic stricken. You're thinking, oh my gosh, my bills and all these things that I've got responsibilities. What am I going to do? And it's funny, after you take a breath for a minute and realize, the sky hasn't completely fallen down and you're going to be able to figure it out. And, it's not like I had no money at all. I had a little bit of a breather to figure it out. And when you take that time and clear the mind, it's amazing what things come out of that.
I know it's exciting. Well, that's great. Well, let's get into it because like me, I'm sure a lot of other people out there don't know what is a brand? What does that mean?
And I'm so glad you asked that, because it is true. It can be confusing. And as you said, you thought it was colors. And most people think when they hear brand that it's colors and fonts, or it's the logo, or it's, the website. And those are very important parts of a brand. But really, how I like to describe it, and how I think it makes it much more clear, is to define the difference between what is a brand and what is branding. So a brand is actually who you are, what you stand for, and how people perceive you. If you think of it actually as equivalent to your reputation, that is what a brand really is, and how people can really understand. So if you think about the sentence like, is branding important, and replace that word with reputation, think about, is reputation important? That's how you can really realize that this is an important part of your business, because you are building up the way people think of you, the way people see you, the way people perceive you in a way that when you're not in a room, that if they were describing you to somebody else, it's how that comes across. How are they able to think of you? And do they remember you when they need you? So all of this is really the foundation of who you are. And it's all about the values that you have and how you align those with your business and how you follow that path so that it starts attracting the people that fit into that world. Branding, on the other hand, is the logo. It is the colors. It is the fonts, the packaging, the signage, the website, the look and feel, all of the things that are the way that you communicate or deliver your brand message to your audience. So your brand has to be done first, because if you don't know what your brand is, if you don't understand what you stand for and the importance of what you do and who you do it for, then that makes it hard to actually come up with a branding identity that suits who you are and helps people understand who you are.
You know, that's interesting because years ago, my website was all reds, which is just like was glaringly awful. But I thought it was cool then. I didn't think about me as a brand. I just went, I want some cool colors and exciting, but it didn't represent me. And after a while, I looked at it and I went, it doesn't even feel good when I look at this. But I love the question that you said, a brand is where you stand. What do you stand for? So everybody that's listening right now, ask that question right now. What do you stand for? How many of us ask that in our business? That's a really important question. And many of you may not be clear. That's okay. Just write it down and journal it later and say, what do I stand for in my business? That's, who am I? What are my values? Because now you've made it really clear that once you know what your values are and what you stand for, then the branding reflects that.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Yes.
so important to know who you want to be and who you want to be that for. So let's
Yeah.
take an example. This one is an easier one to give, to help clarify this. If you were thinking of Apple, how do you perceive them? There's certain things that come to mind when you think of the company Apple, that, it's technology, like modern technology, easy to use, customer friendly, that, you know, it's sort of the luxury brand of technology for the everyday consumer. It's something that they have made communicating with the world easy. So all these things, and everybody has a certain way that they would describe it, and whether you like it or not, and they are attracting the people that they want to have in their world, and they don't care if they're detracting some people. That's okay, because you want that. You want the people that are really going to appreciate you and value you.
Exactly. Yeah, it's fascinating. I look at, because I have more awareness in the last years of branding, I see some people's website and pages, and these are like high-powered women, and the colors are powerful, and the words reflect that, and you can see that. And then there's others where, they're softer and the colors are muted. And I know for me, when I decided on my now colors, which are more of a cranberry with gold and a little
Yeah.
bit of teal, I knew that I wanted to reflect warmth with strength, because that's how I see myself. I'm a strong woman, but I have warmth. And I said, what colors to me would represent that? And it's
Oh,
so
that's
fascinating.
great, Ruth. That's great.
Yeah, yeah, that's how I started doing it. And because I said, oh, and even when I look at those colors, I go, it feels better, it feels
Yeah.
right. This is
Yeah.
who I am. Right, right.
And
That's
I
great.
would
That's
say that, and I would say that, back to talking about journaling and writing it down, do that exercise of, how do you feel like, if you were describing your personality, and it doesn't have like your business has a personality and you have a personality. If you are the owner of the business, there's going to be, especially as a small business owner, a lot of it's going to be based on your values, and because you're going to want to attract those types of people, the types of people that work for you, or the types of people that you do work for. So some of the, if you think about it, some of the descriptive words could be that, it's luxury, it's traditional, or it could be that it's wild and crazy and fun. That could be something that really works for people, and
right.
they want to have some of that zany humor. I just was I started following a couple of guys from the UK who talk all about email marketing, and they're also performers, and they've got pinks and purples and yellows and crazy graphics that are wild and fun. And when you get on there, and hear them on their podcast or whatever, that's what they're like. They're wild and zany and crazy. And
Yeah.
so it follows through. So it's not unexpected. Imagine if you were wild and crazy and zany and on your podcast, and then you went and it's all kind of some sort of traditional, classic website, and you're going, am I on the right place?
Yes, it's
It
a
doesn't feel
mismatch.
right. Yeah.
Mhm. Makes so much sense. Yeah. And so my next question is, how does branding actually affect a small business? How does it help them with a client attraction, with just building their business in a more effective way?
Well, once you figure out who you want to be and you go out there and you start showing up as that person and realizing, who you are and who you help, you can start to build a consistent voice and a consistent message, a message that is clearly to attract a specific type of clientele, that all about. Because once you get into the branding, it's a lot about you, but it's also about who you serve and picking the specific audience, as I call it, or the niche. And everybody's always, they feel really uncomfortable about that. But really, in a brand, a great brand stands out to a specific audience and solves a specific problem. So if you can figure out who you are and who you serve and create a message that speaks to those people and show up frequently and consistently, then your brand is going to start to be seen, because people are going to go, oh, there they are. Just like I said, with the brand guy or the email guys, I could see them anywhere now and notice them. And I would go, oh, they're the email guys. Oh, they're the email guys. There they are again. And I start to recognize them. And then I start to think, do I need them? Maybe I do need them. Maybe I need to pay attention to them. Maybe they're the ones that could help me with that specific problem I'm having with email.
Yes.
When you start to show up and say the same things over and over again, even if you think that it's like, I can't say this one more time, people are not feeling that way. They start to build trust in you. They start to like you and they start to follow you. And that's how that turns into customers, clients, consumers of your products or services.
Yes, yes. What That's really true. And I know that I used to fight wanting a niche because I'm multi-passionate and I want to serve this and this and this. And a lot of people who are listening probably can relate. But one of the examples I did, because I used to do just marketing coaching. I don't do that anymore, but I do some of it with my clients. And I used to do a comparison. I'd say, let's say you are in trouble with your marriage and you're looking for a marriage therapist or coach. And there's two websites. One website is, I help people with grief, divorce, marriage, ADD. And the other website says, I specialize in helping couples regain their intimacy and resolve their conflicts. If you are in trouble, which website would you be drawn to? The specialist. It's just like
Exactly.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's difficult because clients go, but I can serve this and this and this. But if I always tell my clients who I work with, if you try to serve many people, you're going to have many mixed messages, and then they don't associate you with anything. It gets very confusing. And
That
so
is
that's a
so
dilemma.
true. That is a
Yeah.
great example too. I love that example. What you're doing when you're building a brand is you're giving yourself and your company meaning and recognition. And to give yourself meaning is, how are you showing up as the expert in a field? How can you be an expert, especially if you are a small business? How can you be an expert in everything? And if you want to, really leap ahead in your business faster, you'll become the expert or specialist in a specific area. whether it's, a type of person you serve, a modality that you provide, a specific product that you talk about on a regular basis, that is going to make you stand out faster and attract more people quickly if you take your brand and make it the expert of something specific.
And I think what you just said, everybody hear that. You will attract clients, Kim said, quicker when you specialize. That's really because so much frustration is I'm doing this and I'm doing that. I'm not getting clients, but maybe part of the problem is not honing into that specialty and not making your message match that, because that will drive clients to you faster. Yeah, that's
Exactly.
important.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
And the other question that many people may have is, do I start a brand right away if I'm new, or do I wait till I'm established? What do you say?
That is a great question. So I want you to think about the two things, the brand and the branding. Now, no matter what you do, as soon as you hang out your shingle as a business owner, no matter what you do, if you sell products and have a retail location, or if you're a service provider and you work from home, but as soon as you say that you are in business, you've created a brand already. It's started, whether you like it or not. The question really is whether you decide to actually cultivate and nurture it so that it actually works for you, or if you decide, you know what, I'm going to do this later, then that really puts your brand into the hands of your competitors to brand for you and tell your audience what you stand for. So in the beginning, no matter what, you need to start to think about how you want your brand to be. How do you want to show up? How do you want people to think of you, and who are you going to serve? What kinds of problems are you solving? Now, I'm not saying that you have to go out and do your branding right away. You don't have to have all of that done first. I would actually suggest that you go out and start serving people and figuring out what works for you. And, you can go out with just a landing page, where people can, reach you, and maybe you have one thing that you give away to people that kind of explains who you are, but you don't have to get deep into your logo and all of that yet. You have to go out though and start to, show up as somebody, and that's your brand. And then eventually you're going to figure out, that you will need some of those items, and it will help you to communicate what your brand is. But you must think about business and brand together in the beginning.
Yes. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, and the clearer their message is, what you stand for, what kind of help that you're giving, be consistent in that message, instead of being all over the place. That's the beginning, the building of the brand and the branding.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean that you can't, evolve and iterate your brand, just as you can a business. Like you may start a business and say, I'm going to be, selling this service or this product, and then that changes along the way. There's nothing wrong with that. So the same with your brand. Your brand can evolve and develop along the way. So you don't have to, it doesn't have to be one and done. Even your creative doesn't have to be one and done.
Right.
It can, look what you did, Ruth. You had, you said the red, and then you evolved to your new colors.
Mm-hmm. And, also I'm thinking too, when I started doing it, I thought, okay, a lot of people are on small or low budgets or very little budget. And the perception can be, this could be very expensive. And one of the things I did that I want to share with the audience is a lot of this, when you decide your colors and what do you want to look like, you can use a resource called Fiverr, fiver.com, and it's cheap. And they have these professional people that don't charge huge amounts of money, and you would be surprised how professional I've had many, many different things made, from ebooks created that look very professional to even my website. This guy did
Yeah.
unbelievable work on my website, and it was very inexpensive, so that you don't have to be threatened by building a brand, because there are great resources like fiverr.com to do that.
Yeah. Oh, it's so true. It's so true. And even with some of the do-it-yourself graphics like Canva
Oh, Canva.
and
Yeah.
things like that, there's ways to get around starting out that don't have to cost you a fortune.
Yes, that's wonderful. That's the wonderful thing about business now. There's so many amazing resources that are not expensive.
Yeah.
Well, is there any more that you wanted to say about branding that we haven't covered?
Um, I would say one of the things that is really important is when you're starting to figure out, you go, I'm going to do, like, I have an expertise in this service and I want to offer this service out. Start to think about your people that you're going to help. So a lot of people are talking about niching down, but they don't understand that that doesn't necessarily mean, okay, I have to choose an avatar. So this person is going to be between 30 and 40, and they're going to be female, and they're going to have, 2 kids. They're going to, that's not the important part about niching down. So I want you to think about what you can provide to somebody. What is the product or service that you're going to be going out there to serve to people? And then think about the people that will need it. Who is out there that has a problem right now that needs solving that you can solve? That's how you're going to start to niche down. Who is thinking about it? So say you're going to say you're leaving your corporate business and you're going to start an accounting firm because that's what your expertise is in. And who are you going to serve? Well, you could serve, help large companies, or you could help small companies. But let's say you went out there and said, okay, I'm going to help small companies that, they don't have time. They don't know what, like, maybe there's these people that are small businesses that are, maybe they're contractors or landscapers or something like that, in that area where they're out there from morning till night and they don't have a lot of time for this. How can I go out there and help them with their books and make them more profit without it being something that's causing them a lot of angst throughout the day? How can I, serve them in a way that's going to be helpful to them? Once you realize that you're serving a specific market, you're going to think about all of the things that's happening in their life and how you can make it better for them. But if you go
Right.
out there and just say, I'm serving, small businesses, it's harder to think about all the specific things that are challenging because there's so many different things.
Absolutely. So really, for everybody to hear this, that before you even start a brand, be really, really clear what your niche is, who you're serving, the problems you're serving. And then from there, you can look at your message, the brand, and then the branding. So it starts with the audience, who
Yeah.
you're going to serve.
And pick an audience to start. It doesn't have to be the one you stay with. You may choose an audience or a group of people and then say, oh, this isn't working for me. That's okay. You can change. Don't feel like you're stuck there, but
Yeah,
you got to start somewhere. You got to start
right,
somewhere.
right, exactly. Well, this was really good. This is very informative. I know the audience will really get a lot out of this. And I'd love for those of you who are listening, comment below in the video in YouTube or in Facebook group, and just let us know what was valuable or what's one thing that you learned that you thought this was really helpful, or any comment that you want to leave. And I told you that Kim has a wonderful gift for you. If she is going to give you as a free gift a copy of her book. And her book, again, is Branding on a Shoestring. And inside the book, it's about recreating your business identity and increase your sales in 83 days or less. Ooh, that sounds good. So that would be a wonderful thing. So I'm going to put the link in YouTube under here and Facebook group in the comments. And I also have links for her if you want to contact her in her social media as well. Did I get that right?
You did. You did. Thank you so much, Ruth.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. This was a really good interview and very informative. I learned some things as well. I love the way you define brand and branding. So, we all need to hear information. Some of it's new and some of it's we have to relearn it. So, thank you so much. I know this was helpful to the audience.
Oh, great. I've had a great time, and I really appreciate you having me on today.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.